Viewers, this is Politics Today here on Science TV. By the way, hapa tunachapa siasa. Tuko na Nicholas Oyo, Secretary General, Free Kenya Movement. We are with Elizabeth Michaels, NAC Kenya Women League. My God, Mata Karua. What? And then we are with Damian Evans, ODM Youth League. Let's begin with you, Nicholas Oyo. But hapa ni kumoto. Kabla utuambie what has happened in 2023, hebu tuimbie watu tena. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So jaribu tu kufurahi. Nasikia mwingine anaongea mambo ya mafuta.
Yeah, Jonah, 2023 has been a tough year for Kenyans.
Happiness index. Mambo ya mafuta. Umefuel gari?
Hata siku hizi niliwacha hiyo mambo ya kufuel gari. Siku hizi nafikiria kama kuna vile naweza jipatia ka space mahali kwa kagari ama ka train kidogo kakiwezekana. Yes. It's become tough.
So
Kenyans.
Are you boycotting?
For me it's not a boycott. For me it's really about kamefinywa sana na tunajaribu kujipanga hapa na pale, lakini hatupati kazi.
Tell me so, give me a rough idea, because I know you people, you drive.
Jonah,
how much do you fuel? Where do you come from, by the way?
Kama ni kutoka hapa, natoka Buruburu, nikiweka fuel kitambo ni
unaenda wapi? Unaendanga?
No, unasema kutoka nyumbani
ama unaishi wapi?
Mimi ni mtu wa Seme.
So how much
originally when I used to go
mathematics,
nikienda na gari kitambo,
yes,
before hii mambo yote ifanyike, nilikuwa natumia 3500.
And yours is not a fuel guzzler?
Yeah, it's not a fuel guzzler.
Okay.
I guzzled sana 3500, but now Jonah, sahi lazima ifike 7000
one way.
So it's a mess.
Someone was telling me that to drive from Kisii to Nairobi is 25,000. Was that true?
Yeah, if you have a guzzler, now it's going to be even worse. For me, full tank ilikuwa inajaa na 6-7,000. Sahi inajaa na 12-13 hapo. So it's really become a problem.
Why? Okay.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Okay. So cost of living. Tell us, NADCO, your mambo ya bipartisan talks, what happened?
I think, Jonah, for me, I think the problem with Parliament is that they don't look at our interests, they look at the interest of the people who took them there. So most of the time, hiyo kitu kama cost of living, watu wa pande ya Azimio walikuwa naisema ndio, but their answers have always been subsidies. I believe that's one of the things they've always been pushing. I don't think that is going to be what we are going to look for, because subsidies means what it means. Watu wengine watatolewa, serikali itachukua pesa fulani ilipe wale watu wanafaa kuleta petroli na vitu kama hizi, and then that becomes a problem, and you've seen the issues that are there. I agree with the president on the subsidies, but then the question now becomes, hii shida yote ya cost of living kwangu ni taxation, Jonah. It is basically taxation, and for me, and you know, Free Kenya, the stand that we have, we are saying that abolish taxes on basic and essential commodities. It is something that we took to Parliament during the finance bill. We talked about the finance bill. It was only from UDA. The only person who supported, who went against the finance bill was Gadoni wa Mushomba. Everyone else in UDA walipanga laini. So we ask ourselves if they actually go back to the ground to ask their people, because the role that an MP is supposed to play is supposed to speak for me when I'm not there. So the reality is supposed to be that ukiona kama kuna kitu, kuja ulize wananchi. But of course, again, there's a problem na hiyo kuuliza wananchi. So Jonah, I feel that the cost of living has not been dealt with in the report. The issue in that report is that there is no agreement really on a lot of things. The things that the Azimio side were pushing, they are still pushing for them, and they've not really gotten them. The things that UDA was pushing for is still pushing for them. They want to entrench the chief prime cabinet secretary in position, so that we are going to become a prime minister. They also want the opposition leader to become an office, which are things that we are advancing as Free Kenya. And we are saying even the 2/3 gender rule we can advance through the the constitutional engagements. We have a plan that we have, a formula that we have shared in the Free Kenya Bill, which basically would end up having youth, women, and persons with disability. So for me, 2023 was basically preparing for a fight that is going to be in 2024, which is going to be a fight about the constitution, and possibly it will spill over to 2025 in my thinking. And the question now is, when you see the parties talking about recruitment and organizing themselves, I think the troops are getting organized, and it's going to be a fight.
Civil disobedience being prepared. Of course, you can't do civil disobedience without grassroots support. You can't do manda mano without grassroots support. But let's assume that they are recruiting for the proper reasons of giving us solutions to the challenges of the constitution.
So. And somebody said, Damian said, talked about the question of giving alternatives. I really would have hoped that this time, this new engagement, we would have had, like, for instance, an Azimio, say, for instance, a speech on Jamhuri, something like that. We would have had something like a budget from Azimio.
That would be from Kamukunji?
Yeah, I would hope so. So that we now have alternatives.
Baba gave a speech prior to Jamhuri.
Yeah. It was not billed as what it should have been. It should have been Jamhuri Day, anti something, I don't know. We need to reach a point that opposition really moves the government. The issue should be that you have your vehicle here, which is a bicycle, and somebody has a Mercedes. You push the bicycle to a point that it can't go, and then you take over because you have better ideas, better things to do.
So who is the bicycle here?
I'm not insinuating anything. No. But the reality is, when you are in opposition, what you are trying to do is to show you are better. You have better policies. They are going to give better outcomes, and you have your MPs who basically try to push some of these things. Some of the issues that you come up with, other people in the, say, UDA, for instance, when Mushomba supported. Went against the finance bill, so she could even support something that looks like it's going to give solutions. So I think that's something.
I want you to just take us through the list, but roughly. But before you do that, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Your party leader is on record saying that this thing was going nowhere because the committee was formed by the unwilling. And they had appointed the incompetent. Now we now want to imagine the likes of Kalonzo and Ishungwa. It was, to come out with the impossible. Those were her words. Are you supportive of the outcomes of NADCO?
Well, of course, Jonah, I won't.
Right.
I won't, because that is not what the ideologies personally I support, and by mere luck, it's also what my party leader doesn't support. So in that saying, she has actually asked as NAC Kenya, by her giving a presser that we have rejected it in total is very whatever for me, and it has come out very strongly, and I also support that we reject it because the things that we wanted addressed, and those are the things. Let me talk about the two major things before I come to touch about the office of the opposition. I don't know what is happening in Kenya nowadays. They have devised a method that the government in power buys the opposition, and the opposition now doesn't come out as strong as it used to be.
Have you been bought?
I didn't sit on that table.
Right.
But nowadays our opposition is a bit not very vibrant, audible. What do I call it? It's not coming out as strong as it used to be. I don't know what my counterpart will say, but his party leader and my party leader are the leaders of Azimio. as a coalition, but it's not coming out the way it's supposed
Are
to be.
you just saying that they are not vibrant?
No, it's not about vibrancy. I don't know what has happened. I want to say there's something cooking, or there's something happening that has led to this. And that's why you see, okay, my party leader has got no filters. Like, she will call it for what it is. So in black and white, we have rejected that, because what made us, remember, Jonah, I was on the streets, not throwing stones, but I was on the streets I have videos of me on the streets during Mandamano.
And you call that lack of vibrancy?
No. That's a lot of vibrancy. Then you are taking my wordings out of context.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, in this NADCO report, we wanted the audit for elections, whatever, the cost of living. By those two only, out of maybe the 4 or 5 that were being
cost
addressed,
of living and what?
they have the elections audit
Right.
hazijafanyika. Number one, I want to tell Kenyans, if we don't find a way to stop, not curbing is preventing, to stop election malfunctions, all the time we will keep crying. All the time itakuwa tu imeibiwa, hatujui gani ni gani. And we know, mimi, by the way, I know we rightfully as Azimio won the 2022 elections. But now the fear is this: there are some communities that believe they are superior than others. I might also belong to that community that think it's superior. Let me tell you, and this is a shock on you, despite the fact you having number 2 on your side. By 2027, number 1 will not need your votes, because he has already perfected how to get to win the elections.
I should have come with the fire
You
extinguisher.
see? No, I call it, like my party leader, I put it there in black and white.
Okay.
This person will not need, because sahi amesha perfect 2027. Yo kura yako unafikiria anahitaji, hata ihitaji, amesha perfect election theft.
No.
That's why you are seeing they don't want to bring the 7, they want to add another 3 wakue 9, because and the executive has say mmeona akinunua MPs. What is so hard in 2027?
Now you are touching on the issues of the audit of the elections.
Audit
right?
over, yes.
Now,
then when
was that one of the things on the list, Nicholas?
Yes, of course. The first issue was IBC, to find a way of putting together IBC.
Yes.
I think the agreement there was that they are saying that they are going to put 2 more commissioners to make it 9.
Right.
I don't know how representative 9 means from 7 to 9. I don't know. Of course, the second question was the question of entrenching those issues that, as she's saying. The questions of opposition leadership, the questions of Prime Minister putting into the constitution those ones. There is a question of CDF and WDF being put in the constitution. There is, of course, the questions surrounding cost of living that were never agreed. So the reality of the fact is that we have had 2023, most of it, whereby discussions around these issues have gone on for a very long time, and no agreement really that has been secured, because as long as you hear that most of the people, Eugene Wamalwa has rejected the report, he's one of the Azimio side, you hear NAC Kenya has rejected, you hear some
the
people
chair for Azimio
has rejected. So really the question is, we were just having fun, and I think that was just soap opera going on for us, and then suddenly there is no answer. I think for me the question must be that Kenyans must come out.
Rigathi Gachagua is anointed prophet.
Probably we need to look for another something to add to his terms, and we need to say prophet and then.
But then could Raila also have known that maybe the talks were heading nowhere?
It is possible, and maybe he needs to tell us, but he needs to understand that this is politics, and politics sometimes is about we talk about mobilization, but there is always something called demobilization. So for Raila as an opposition leader, there is need to demobilize so that he can organize himself for the next engagement.
Yeah.
The questions for me has always been, what then are they going to be doing for the next 3 years? So that we end up in a situation where in 2027...
Actually, even before you go there, tell us about 2024. Do you smell something happening? Is something cooking?
There's going to be serious fights around the constitution.
Right.
It's going to be a fight where Free Kenya is also leading in the fight.
Right.
We have the NADCO side being government also pushing something. Government will insist that NADCO passed, and they will go and try to implement that. We are going to have Azimio also coming with questions about a referendum.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a situation where a referendum is a fight in 2024. I'm seeing a situation where we are still going to have a parliament that is really not going to be giving us solutions in 2024, just the way it has been in 2023. Because this parliament is basically about a lot about what people spend when they wanted to get elected. We know serious amounts of money were spent.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people are also trying to find ways of getting back those that kind of money that they used. So that's why he's complaining that some of them are running and going to do development. And he's right when he says that members of parliament, senators, are not supposed to be pushing development per se. Their job is supposed to be representation. It's supposed to be oversight. It's supposed to be legislation.
Yeah.
And through this, that's how they push development. Because what happens is the governors and the national government are supposed to be the ones who are doing development. What these people are supposed to be seeing is what are they doing development the right way. So for me, 2024 is going to be a defining year in this country. I hope that Free Kenya comes out tops because we have solutions for all these things. The only problem that we have is that, as we've talked about, the politics in this country is more personality driven other than policy driven.
Now, Damian,
Yes.
ODM has collected over 10 million signatures. Are you planning a referendum? What's up? Why all the signatures? And then the cost of living, you've talked about it. You insisted it's top on the agenda. President Ruto claims he's having the affordable housing project. And he's claiming it's going to solve the problem of unemployment in this country. Are you seeing a solution in the affordable housing? Because he says there is no moving back on that.
Actually, I think the advisors of the president should embark on a tactical retreat, because to me, I don't know whether to say that the president does not understand the issues that are afflicting the Kenyan citizenry, because this is how I will reason. Maybe, you see, the needs of Kenyans, you have the basic needs of Kenyans, we know them. There are people who cannot even afford a meal a day. So you're going to force these people to stay in houses. Actually, there are people who don't even stay in houses, by the way. There are people who even sleep in churches or any. There are people who entirely. What I'm only saying is, they are the basic needs of the Kenyan people that the government should be focusing on.
6:09 p.m.
You know.
SLK.
And if you say affordable housing is going to generate employment, Mr. JONAH SIMBA, with all due respect, you see, employment, for it to benefit you, it must also be sustainable. How many young people are going to be employed in those affording housing units? And are those affording housing units going to guarantee jobs forever?
Do you know anyone who works in that?
I don't know. So I think the term employment has been misused so much by the government of the day, because just recently you had the president say that you're going to look for 30,000 jobs. What types of jobs? Perhaps we need to demystify, because there is this narrative that these menial, and I'm not calling any job odd, but you cannot on one hand talk about digitization, but when it comes to jobs, these casual jobs, that at the same time you still talk about the youth. The deputy president talks about these jobs. The president talks about digital jobs. It is like one government reading from different scripts, according to me. So the narrative of employment is being pushed in a way that it does not make sense anymore, because they use the term employment. I think they need to demystify and say, okay, we're going to look for 30,000 jobs. in the space of hospitality, in the space of tourism, in agriculture. You know, I categorize those because you can't employment. If you just say employment, it looks. What is employment?
How many people have been employed in the affordable housing according to the president? 200,000?
He says.
Yeah, the figures are 200,000 what he's talking about.
Right.
But he mentioned a lot of people, he mentioned architects and what have you. Really, those are contracts, Jonah. And what he's saying is true. They are contracts, and contracts may mean that you get to do something and maybe you use that to do other things. But of course, there's a question of the materials. He talked about materials being developed for those housing units to be done. This is where we differ, really, as Free Kenya, because we keep saying that that issue of housing is an issue of Article 43. And if it's an Article 43 issue, then why are you putting taxes on it if you can't actually do what Article 43 has demanded of you to do? Over the last 13 years of the Constitution and 10 years of these two governments, now the third one, we are having a situation where none of those governments has ever mentioned Article 43 and said that now we are going to allocate these resources to deal with the question of Article 43. So that is where we are saying that the issue must be that we agree that yes, we need to deal with the question of Article 43. As Free Kenya, we are saying that remove taxes on those, then let us have engagements on other things.
As we move into 2024, of course, the Constitution, with all its issues, is a guideline. What happens in case, again, the Parliament fails the Mwananchi? Where are we headed? Because in 2023, I don't know whether it is Damian or you who spotted out that actually the Parliament was a puppet of the executive. Now, it was you.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, as we move into this 2024, and the Parliament again is the puppet of the executive, what is the solution? I mean, are we doomed?
Yeah, we have a problem, Jonah. We need to deal with it before very long. I think the kind of engagement we did to come up with the Constitution, we assumed that we are going to have angels elected. It was unfortunate. Now we know. We know that we are closer to the other side than the angels. So the reality of the fact is this, Jonah. I think we need to redefine. And in this 2024, where we are going to engage on constitutional issues, we need to clearly redefine the roles of members of parliament and clarify what members of parliament are supposed to do. So that a person understands that at the moment that this president is being sworn in, you are also being sworn in parliament to do certain things. One of those things that you're going to help your president, if you are UDA, to do is to ensure that you oversight your president so that your president actually delivers the best. There has never been a time, Jonah, that say for instance, if Kenya wanted to play, and we've had this image before, Kenya wants to go to World Cup. Will Kenya start going to look for some teams in some corners, some funny corners to try and do maybe friendlies with? No, Kenya will look for teams outside which are stronger teams to make it even stronger.
And the funny corners, you mean Manu?
I don't want to get it. But I'll talk about and if Kenya plays Manu, that's a strong adversary.
Yeah.
But
That's
then
a funny corner. Okay, proceed.
but the issue is
Right.
that iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
The only way that you're going to make your president work, and I'm advising all members of UDA right now, is to basically push him to the limits. If you don't do that, your president will not work. And I've said this before. Jubilee, one of the failures in the last Jubilee administration, the last 10 years, was that the members of parliament did not do the job they're supposed to do, to push the president to their limits. And so they ended up having a situation where they are protecting what the president say, even when it's a problem. I mean, now today, I'm expecting somebody should have, unfortunately they are going for recess, but somebody should have called out the president on the question that we just discussed the other week on the Grammy issue, because the question should be that, come and tell us, what exactly are you saying? Who made this deal? And what is the deal there? Somebody should have called that, and it should be a UDA member. if they really believe in their government. If they don't believe in their government, they'll hide and try to run away from it. So I think that's one thing that I'm hoping will happen.
Simba, if I can
yes, go
add
on,
my
go on.
voice. Actually, he raised an issue that made me jog my mind a little bit. He's saying that 2024, we are likely going to have a referendum politics. Initially, we had questioned whether Raila Odinga anticipated that the NADCO report would be rejected. My thinking is that I think he foresaw it. Prior to the 2022 elections, we had the BBI report. That was a project that was mainly engineered by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And actually, according to the judgment of the Supreme Court, the major undoing, the major undoing was because the President had his hand on it. So fast forward, I think we, the people, have the authority. We can do it because the Constitution says sovereign power belongs to the people, and the people may elect it to their representatives. In Philippines, the former president, Rodrigo Duterte, used to give off-the-cuff speeches. He could not implement things. The people demanded that he leaves office. Rodrigo Duterte had to leave office himself.
Okay, well said.
Yeah.
Very well said. Our time is gone. Yes. Nicholas Oyo, Secretary General, Free Kenya Movement, Elizabeth Michaels, NAC Kenya Women's League, and Damian Evans, ODM Youth League. Very pleased to have you in studio here today.
Thank you so much.
So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Keep on chappering siasa with us here. Hapa tunachapa siasa. See you next week on politics today hapa Science TV. Bye bye.